Hi everyone, it's me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I have been living here in the UK for the last 6 years, and today we are talking all about the lesser known things about Scotland that Americans don't know about. I would love it if you could leave a comment down below. Did you already know these lesser known things about Scotland? But without further ado, let's go. Now, first up, we have to talk about the redheads. Now, it's estimated that about 1 to 2% of the human population has red hair, but you're gonna find a lot of them in Scotland. Just a side note, while I was doing a little bit of a Google for this video, did you know the term redhead has been used since 1510? Pretty cool. Now, when we think of redheads, obviously I am not a redhead. We think of people like, I don't know, Harry Windsor. Pretty famous, pretty redhead, pretty British. Another really popular one that was coming up online a lot was Julianne Moore. And I was like, okay, well, she's American. Her mother was Scottish. Then you also have celebrities like Ed Sheeran, obviously very English. We also have Karen Gillan, very Scottish. When we talk about redheads, we do have to give a special mention, naturally, to Ireland. Ireland has the highest percentage of red-haired people, about 10%. So Ireland does win that top spot. However, recently there was a study done on people, or the amount of people who have one of these like red hair genes. So maybe you aren't redhead yourself, but you are carrying that particular gene that could be passed down to a child. And guess what? The highest concentration of these people with the red hair carrying genes is in Edinburgh. 40% of the population in Edinburgh carries one of these red-haired gene variants. 40%. The study also found that a lot of people in northern England are likely to carry this gene. Around 34% of the population in northern England in certain areas also have this red-haired carrying gene. Red hair gene? One of the red hair genes? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the highest concentration is in Edinburgh. Now, in terms of people with actual red hair, that does go to Ireland at 10% of their population. However, Scotland, a very reasonable, impressive 6%. And about 4% of English people also have red hair. So we got 10, 6, and 4 roughly. With England, though, a lot of that is concentrated up north. Now you think, okay, so we have a lot of redheads in Ireland, Scotland, Northern England. Why? Why is that? Now, I'm not gonna get into the science of it because I am not smart enough. Typically, people with red hair have very fair skin, so they're actually quite suited to places like Ireland, like Northern England, like Scotland, where the sunlight is a little bit less than other places. So people with red hair, people with fair skin do much better at absorbing vitamin D when the amount of light is low, which in my humble opinion is pretty cool. Now, the drawback, of course, having red hair, having fair skin means you are probably more susceptible to getting sunburnt, to getting skin cancer. But if you are living in Scotland, living in Edinburgh or the north of England, you probably don't have to worry about getting sunburnt too much. Next up, when we are talking about lesser known things about Scotland, did you know Scotland has a very unique airport? We are talking about Barra Airport. So sorry if I didn't pronounce that properly, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't. Now, Barra Airport is a very short runway airport situated, get this, in a wide, shallow bay of another place that I can't pronounce. This place, Tragmore. Close? Probably not. Now, this airport is pretty cool because it is believed to be the only airport in the world that uses a tidal beach as a runway. So Barra Airport opened in 1936, long-running airport. The only flight is to Glasgow, but it's pretty cool that you take off and you land at Barra Airport on a beach. And this beach is not off limits, which I found absolutely fascinating. It's actually quite popular with visitors. So whether you want to take a stroll on the beach or you're going for a hike or something, people actually use that area for personal reasons, for travel, for walking, for all sorts of stuff. So they actually use a windsock to let people know whether the beach is going to be used for the airport or not. So if you are just sort of wandering through the area and you're like, oh, let's go across this beach, if the airport is in session or is up and running or is expecting a flight, they'll let you know. But otherwise, it seems like you can just walk on the beach, which is really cool. Now, with the way current events have globally unfolded, you know, I'm talking about the last couple of years, not too many flights happening out of Barra Airport, but I saw in its peak, which is around 2018, it saw 14,000 passengers, which is actually a lot higher than I thought. Now, while we're talking about lesser known things about Scotland, we're talking about their very cool airport, I would then like to talk about one of their particular flights that you can actually take in Scotland. Scotland is home to the shortest commercial flight in the world. Okay, I wrote this down. Again, very sorry for the pronunciations, okay? You should just expect that I'm gonna pronounce everything wrong. So the journey we're talking about specifically is from Westray to Papa-Westray in Orkney, which is about 1.5 miles long. 1.5. Now, I am absolutely not a runner, but I could actually run 1.5 miles, and that is the length of this entire flight. So this particular flight path is scheduled for 1 minute and 30 seconds, but the actual flight duration is typically around 1 minute. The record, however, is 53 seconds. Yes, a 53-second commercial flight. So who's taking this flight? Well, apparently it's a lot of like teachers and students. There are loads of archaeology, oh my goodness, archaeology sites. Archaeological sites. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you for waiting. So a majority of the passengers are people going to these sites, teachers, students. To be honest, what a cool fuel trip. I wish we had that in Canada. But in Canada, you are going to a maple tree farm and you're gonna hate every second of it. Of course, you'll also have tourists, whether they are interested solely in the very short flight or they're actually interested in the locations themselves. You're also gonna have like healthcare professionals. There are about 90 residents. So occasionally they'll need someone to come out to them, or perhaps they will need to take the flight to go in to larger metropolitan areas. Do you know what I mean? If someone needed to go to like a medical facility is what I'm trying to get. You know what I'm saying? Because there are actually about 90 residents, which I can't even imagine what life must be like. Now, another very cool thing about Scotland, and one that I am very excited to talk about, is the national drink of Scotland. Have a think. What would that be? Did you guess whiskey? So today's video is sponsored by Bòcan. They are a experimental single malt whiskey produced in small batches in the Highlands in Scotland. So today we are talking about the signature whiskey. I'm so excited. I've saved taste testing this until now because I want to do a first reaction. So the signature whiskey has a light smoke with citrus and exotic spices. How exciting. And this signature is matured in bourbon, Old Sorrow, cherry, didn't pronounce that properly, and North American virgin oak casks. Cheers, everybody. Cheers to Scotland. That's good. Oh no, that's real good. Personally, I'm still learning about whiskey, but I have a hard time with the stuff that is like really peaty, like real peat, like the stuff my dad used to drink. This I don't find too peaty. It's not overwhelming. It just tastes like really rich, like really good. Cheers, everybody. If you're looking for something to enjoy with friends and family as we end the summer, make sure to click the link in the description and you can have your own signature summer ending. Cheers to Scotland, cheers to whiskey. I don't know how I'm gonna carry on with my video, but let's get back to it. That's really good. That's really good. Next up, we have to talk about unicorns and their place in Scotland. Side note, if you skipped the ad, it was for a whiskey, which I'm going to continue drinking for the rest of this video. I hope you don't mind. Now, when we talk about Scotland and we talk about unicorns, there is a lot of history there. There's a lot of lore, a lot of mythology, which obviously I'm gonna skim over. I'm just gonna give you like the shortened version of it, if you will. But you may not know that Scotland's national animal is a unicorn, which, to be honest, is so cool. I love it. I think it's fun and exciting and different coming from Canada, whose national animal is a beaver. Now, I've written some of this down, if I can read it. I've written some of this down because there's a lot of detail, there's a lot to it. I'm just gonna give you sort of the broad strokes, but the unicorn was first introduced to the Royal Coat of Arms of Scotland around the mid-1500s. Now, prior to the Union of the Crowns in 1603, the Scotland coat of arms was supported by 2 unicorns. Very cool, very badass. However, when King James VI of Scotland also became James I of England, he replaced one of those 2 unicorns with the national animal of England, the lion. Side note, also a great national animal. This was supposed to be like a display of unity between the 2 countries. Rather than both unicorns of Scotland, we've got a unicorn of Scotland and we've got the lion of England. However, you may know that unicorns and lions in folklore are mortal enemies. They are trapped in a battle to be king of the beasts. Now, the unicorn representing Scotland in the coat of arms is always depicted by a gold chain, which is often seen passing around its neck and wrapping all around its body, which is not something that I ever noticed, to be completely honest. I just think it's really cool. Now, the unicorn was believed to be the strongest of all animals, wild and untamed. It's possible that this gold chain symbolizes the power of the Scottish kings. They were strong enough to tame a unicorn. Whatever you believe, whatever folklore or myths or all that kind of stuff you believe, honestly, it's a really cool story. I love that they've chosen the unicorn. I wish Canada could have taken notes. Next up, we are talking about drinks in Scotland. Now, we know whiskey is the national drink of Scotland, and honestly, a great choice. However, we are not talking about whiskey or alcohol in this section. We are actually talking about soft drinks. Now, in Scotland, the most popular drink, besides the national drink of whiskey, is iron brew. And Scotland is one of the only countries in the world where iron brew is actually more popular than Coke. So to me, iron brew, I mean, I've tried it loads of times. I've always tried to like it, but to me, it's just like too sweet. It comes in a bright orange can. In my mind, it tastes like liquefied cotton candy, like a very, very sweet, bubbly, carbonated, but just not for me. But trust me when I say I have tried. I have tried to like iron brew. I have tried and I have failed. Now, of course, it's interesting that iron brew outsells Coca-Cola, which is very rare, very few countries. Typically, the only countries that don't sell Coca-Cola are the ones that we're talking about. Whereas Scotland, of course, sells Coca-Cola, and yet it is still not popular. Now, while that is very cool, what I thought was actually more interesting is that even Scottish people have a hard time explaining what iron brew tastes like. So if you've ever had iron brew, I'd love it if you left it in the comments. What do you describe the flavor as? Like, if someone hasn't had iron brew, how would you describe it? Because there's actually a study that shows Scottish people don't know what iron brew tastes like. So in Glasgow, the top flavor is tutti frutti. In Edinburgh, they argue it's bubblegum. Highlands think it is cream soda. And Central Scotland identifies more a taste of sherbet. which is just incredible. Now, the nation collectively did agree on something. 56% of Scottish people said that Iron Brew tastes like girders. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that properly. This whole video is just riddled with mispronunciations. I'm so sorry. So girders is an undefinable mystery flavor that has been linked to ginger nectar since it first launched in 1901 for the steel workers who built Scotland as we know today. Whether you think Iron Brew tastes like one thing or the other, it is the most popular soft drink in Scotland. So cheers to that. Now, even though my great grandmother was Scottish, shout out to anyone from Aberdeen watching. Hi, how's it going? Even though my great grandmother was Scottish, there's so much about Scotland that I didn't realize. I had a lot of fun researching more about such an interesting and creative and unique country. Honestly, I love you guys. If you have any more facts that you want to share about Scotland, I'd love to read them. If you'd like to watch more videos, which would be totally awesome, why not check out this video where I talk about why British people hate root beer. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!